Applause rolls across the stage. A smiling man steps forward as the winner of a TV dating show. The woman who chose him will not go on the date. She trusts her instincts and cancels. What did the cameras miss in that room?
You're watching Twisted Case.
We tell true stories with care for victims and survivors. If our work helps you think more clearly about cases like this, consider subscribing. The dating game is simple television. A bachelorette sits on one side of a wall. She asks playful questions. They respond with clever lines. The winner gets a light-hearted prize, a date, a small trip, maybe a lesson with a coach. On this day in September 1978, the bachelorette is Cheryl Bradshaw. A doorbell sound signals each question. The host reads cue cards and keeps the energy high. It is supposed to be harmless. Bachelor number 1 introduces himself as a photographer. He looks confident. He leans into the microphone and sells charm. His name is Rodney Alcala. Alcala flirts, jokes, and plays to the crowd. The audience laughs at the right moments. He feels like a natural fit for the format. At the end of the segment, Bradshaw picks him. The wall opens. They meet face to face. The show announces a date as the prize. Then the taping wraps. Bradshaw calls a show staff member. She says she does not want to go on the date. She cannot shake a bad feeling. In simple words, she felt unsafe. That quiet decision never aired. Viewers did not see it then. But that decision is a key moment in this story. The public remembers the on-air smiles. Survivors and investigators remember the phone call that followed. Keep that in mind as we move forward. It will matter. To understand how that taping fits into a larger arc, we have to look back. 10 years earlier, in 1968, a young girl named Tali Shapiro was abducted in Los Angeles. A passerby noticed something was wrong and called police. Officer Chris Camacho forced his way into a residence. He found the child and saved her life. The suspect in that case was Rodney Alcala. He fled. He was later caught and convicted. Because the victim was a child, and because she survived, the legal path took time and involved difficult choices by her family. This is important. A child lived because a stranger paid attention and acted, and because a police officer did not wait. That action created a record. It also showed how fast danger can move in an ordinary neighborhood. By the late 1970s, Alcala had rebuilt a public persona. He said he was a fashion photographer. He carried a camera and a portfolio. He asked women and girls to pose. Sometimes he offered help with modeling. Sometimes he asked for a quick picture in the park. He also used an alias, John Burger or Burger, which allowed him to move and work without drawing attention to his legal name. Co-workers and casual acquaintances later said he seemed confident and social. He shared some of his photos and asked for opinions. People felt uneasy at times, but many did not know why. In day-to-day life, he looked like an ambitious artist trying to make it. That brings us back to September 1978. The dating show did not create a predator. It gave a stage to someone who had already learned how to perform. If you asked the public in 1978, they would say the show was a silly distraction. The episode aired and then faded into the weekly routine. The audience moved on. The official story looked like this. A woman picked a charming man on television. The network awarded a prize. End of story. But something did not fit. Bradshaw did not take the date. That was unusual for the series. Producers noted it, but did not build a segment around it. There was no reason to at the time. In the summer of 1979, a 12-year-old girl named Robin Samsoe disappeared in Orange County, California. She was last seen riding a bike to ballet class. Her family called police. Detectives canvassed the area and built a timeline. Witnesses helped describe a man who had approached young girls at the beach. A name emerged, Rodney Alcala. A search warrant led police to a storage unit across state lines. Inside, they found hundreds of photographs, women and girls in different settings, some formal, some casual. They also found items that connected to several victims. The photo cache became a critical part of several investigations. It was evidence, but it was also a set of questions. Who were these people? Which images documented crimes? Which showed consensual, if inappropriate, encounters? Investigators had to separate facts from assumptions, picture by picture. Here is the break point. Several events happen in a short span, and they change the direction of the story. First, Robin Samsoe's case becomes a homicide investigation. Second, the storage unit photographs expand the field of possible victims. Third, prosecutors in California bring murder charges against Rodney Alcala. The past now returns in a courtroom setting. The legal process in California took decades. There were trials and retrials. There were appeals and rulings on evidence. In 2010, a jury convicted Alcala of 5 murders: Jill Barcomb, 18, Georgia Wixted, 27, Charlotte Lamb, 32, Jill Parenteau, 21, and Robin Samsoe, 12. The jury recommended the death penalty. The judge imposed it. The courtroom was formal and controlled. Families listened as names were read. Reporters took notes. The verdict offered confirmation, but it did not end the grief. After the 2010 verdict, police released more than 100 images from the storage unit. They asked the public for help identifying the people in the photos. This decision had 2 goals: find living people who could speak to their encounters with Alcala, and connect unknown victims to missing persons reports. The response was immediate. News outlets published the images. Websites hosted galleries. Phone lines filled with tips. Some women recognized themselves. Some families thought they recognized a loved one. Detectives sorted the calls and followed up. Public release also brought risk. Misidentification can harm living people and families. Police tried to balance urgency with care. They blurred some images, they withheld others. The process moved carefully, case by case. Attention turned east. 2 unsolved New York City murders, Cornelia Corney Crilley, 1971, and Ellen Jane Hover, 1977, were reopened with fresh forensic work and new interviews. In 2012, Alcala was extradited to New York. He pleaded guilty to both murders. A judge handed down a sentence of 25 years to life, to run with his California sentence. For the families in New York, the plea offered formal recognition of their losses, even if the practical effect on Alcala's confinement was limited. In 2016, a Wyoming sheriff's office filed a murder charge in the 1977 killing of Christine Ruth Thornton. A relative recognized her in one of the publicly released photos. This identification did not come from a lab alone. It came from the public call for help, paired with careful police work. The case showed the potential benefit of sharing evidence images, when done with clear limits and purpose. Survivors and families guided the public story. The goal in this film is to keep them at the center. Tali Shapiro survived and later testified. Her strength helped prosecutors explain earlier patterns of behavior. She has the right to be known for her survival, not only for the harm she experienced. The families of Barcomb, Wixted, Lamb, Parenteau, Samsoe, Crilley, Hover, and Thornton carried their stories for years. They attended hearings. They answered press questions with care. They protected private memories while pushing for public accountability. Clips from the 1978 dating game episode were played in some proceedings and later shown in news coverage. This footage is historical context. It is not proof of a murder. Prosecutors relied on witnesses, physical evidence, and forensic links. The clip does show something real, a practiced public mask. A person can perform charm in a room built for laughter. That does not make the room safe. In 2024, a feature film dramatized the taping and the aftermath. It updated language and details for a modern audience. The story placed more focus on the woman's intuition and the industry around her. Dramatic retellings can help new viewers learn names and timelines. They can also create confusion if viewers treat fiction as record. That is why we pair any cultural moment with verified facts and clear dates. The climax of the legal story arrives in 2010. After decades of process, a California jury returns 5 guilty verdicts. The same jury recommends a death sentence. The judge agrees and imposes it. The reading of the verdicts is slow and formal. Each count is read aloud. Each victim's name is spoken in the record. The room is quiet except for the clerk's voice and the sound of pens on paper. This is the moment when the legal system finishes its part. It does not bring anyone back. It states on the record what happened and who is responsible. The sentence is death. In July 2021, Rodney Alcala died of natural causes in a California hospital while still on death row. He was 77 years old. When a defendant dies in custody, the case file stops growing, but the human work continues. Families maintain memorials. Detectives keep looking at open leads. Reporters follow up on lingering questions. Many of the people in the storage unit photographs have been identified. Some came forward themselves. Some were identified by friends. Some were matched to missing persons files. But many remain unknown. Those images hold the weight of unanswered questions. Who were they? Are they alive? Did the photo mark a moment of manipulation, or just an uncomfortable exchange? Law enforcement agencies review the gallery when new tips arrive. They compare details, jewelry, furniture, scenery, to old reports. Progress is slow but important. Every confirmed name adds dignity to the record. Every correction prevents harm. High-profile cases can attract myths. After a big verdict, it becomes easy to attach other unsolved crimes to the same name. That can push investigations in the wrong direction. In recent years, some regional cases once linked in the media to Alcala have been re-examined and redirected. Detectives now say that certain crimes may point to other offenders. This is a healthy sign. It shows that investigators resist the pull of a famous suspect when evidence argues otherwise. The dating show is more than a shocking clip. It is a lesson about the limits of public performance and basic vetting. Producers in the 1970s did not have the digital tools we have now. They screened contestants as best they could within the standards of the time. Even today, background checks can miss people who use aliases or who hide in plain sight. In July 2021, Rodney Alcala died of natural causes in a California hospital while still on death row. He was 77 years old. When a defendant dies in custody, the case file stops growing, but the human work continues. Families maintain memorials. Detectives keep looking at open leads. Reporters follow up on lingering questions. Many of the people in the storage unit photographs have been identified. Some came forward themselves. Some were identified by friends. Some were matched to missing persons files. But many remain unknown. Those images hold the weight of unanswered questions. Who were they? Are they alive? Did the photo mark a moment of manipulation, or just an uncomfortable exchange? Law enforcement agencies review the gallery when new tips arrive. They compare details, jewelry, furniture, scenery, to old reports. Progress is slow but important. Every confirmed name adds dignity to the record. Every correction prevents harm. High-profile cases can attract myths. After a big verdict, it becomes easy to attach other unsolved crimes to the same name. That can push investigations in the wrong direction. In recent years, some regional cases once linked in the media to Alcala have been re-examined and redirected. Detectives now say that certain crimes may point to other offenders. This is a healthy sign. It shows that investigators resist the pull of a famous suspect when evidence argues otherwise. The dating show is more than a shocking clip. It is a lesson about the limits of public performance and basic vetting. Producers in the 1970s did not have the digital tools we have now. They screened contestants as best they could within the standards of the time. Even today, background checks can miss people who use aliases or who hide in plain sight. The most important detail may be this: a woman felt uneasy and said no. The show honored her decision. That is a model for other institutions. If a participant says they are uncomfortable, the response should be simple: respect it, and provide options that keep the person safe without punishing them for speaking up. Police released the storage unit photos to the public in 2010. That was a calculated choice. It sought community help while trying to avoid harm. This raises a policy question for any department. When should you release sensitive images? When should you keep them private? Best practice demands clear rules. Agencies should have an internal review board that includes victim advocates, investigators, and legal counsel. The board should ask, will release likely help identify victims or witnesses? Can we protect the dignity of the living with blurs or crops? How will we correct the record quickly if the public misidentifies someone? The same care applies to newsrooms and streaming platforms. The goal is to inform the public without turning trauma into spectacle. For viewers who like a clear timeline, here is the sequence we have covered. People often sense danger before they can explain it. Cheryl Bradshaw felt something was wrong and canceled the date. That decision demonstrates a clear rule anyone can use. If your body says something is off, you are allowed to stop. You do not need to provide a detailed argument in the moment. Background checks help, but they cannot see everything. People use aliases. Records are incomplete. A clean result does not guarantee safety. Institutions should combine checks with staff training and simple safety protocols, escorts to cars, private spaces for concerns, fast ways to cancel participation. Asking the public to identify photos can solve cases. It can also create mistakes. The safest path is a careful release with clear rules and a quick correction process. True crime storytelling should never glamorize an offender. We send to the survivors and families. We say names with respect. We avoid unnecessary details about methods. We focus on the actions that protected life and the systems that can prevent similar harm. After a notorious arrest, it is tempting to connect every unsolved case to the same person. Good investigators do not do that. They test each case on its own facts. When evidence points elsewhere, they change course. That is real integrity in practice. Families carry the weight of long cases. Court dates are rescheduled. Evidence rules are argued. Trials start and stop. Each delay feels heavy. Still, families attend. They speak when asked. They preserve personal memories while allowing public facts to be shared. For them, a verdict is not an ending. It is a public acknowledgement. It confirms that a life mattered and that harm had a name. Survivors like Tali Shapiro teach us about response. A passerby noticed. An officer acted. Medical staff and investigators did their jobs. Many people working together changed the outcome for one child. It is a reminder that everyday attention saves lives. Alcala's public persona looked safe, funny, flirtatious, confident. That mask worked on a national stage. It also worked unknown when he asked for photos. The lesson is not to fear everyone who smiles. The lesson is to keep your boundaries firm. If a situation moves too fast, or if someone pushes past a clear no, step away and seek help. Institutions should make that exit easy and stigma-free. No. The show did not create the offender. It gave him a stage where he could present himself as charming. Vetting in the 1970s was limited by the tools and databases of the time. Even today, a person using an alias can pass a casual screen. This is why producers need clear safety policies beyond a simple check. Were all the people in the photographs victims? No. Some of the photographed people were alive and unharmed. Some images likely documented manipulative encounters that did not end in physical harm. Some images, unfortunately, connected to crimes. Investigators treat each photo as a lead, not a conclusion. How many murders did he commit? He was convicted in 7 murders across California and New York and charged in at least one more state. Authorities have suggested he may be responsible for more. The important point is that each case requires evidence and careful review. Why did it take so long to convict? The cases span multiple years and jurisdictions. Early trials faced legal challenges and appeals. Forensic technology improved over time, and some connections were only possible years later. The long timeline reflects both complexity and the system's obligation to review evidence fairly. What happened after his death? He died in custody in 2021. Ongoing work includes identifying people in photographs and retesting links in unsolved cases. Families continue to advocate for accurate records and respectful coverage. This film is not a safety lecture, but we can share a few practical steps inspired by the case. Listen to discomfort early. If a meeting, audition, or shoot feels wrong, leave. You owe no apology for protecting yourself. Bring a buddy. If someone invites you to a photo session or informal audition, bring a friend. If they refuse, that is a signal. Meet in public places with staff and cameras. Do not go to a stranger's home or a remote area for a first session. Share the person's name, phone number, and location with a trusted contact. Ask to see credentials. Real professionals can show client lists, business licenses, and references. If details are vague or defensive, step back. You can end a meeting or a shoot at any time. If someone pressures you to continue, that is a reason to stop. Report concerns. If you experience or witness abuse, report it to local authorities or campus security. Small reports can help build a larger case. We return to where we started, a studio door, applause, a big smile. The show promised a date and a fun montage. Instead, a woman trusted a feeling and changed her path. Decades later, investigators opened a storage unit and changed the path of the case. Families stood in courtrooms and fixed the record. Journalists and advocates kept the focus on names and dates, not on shock value. The cameras did not see everything. People did. And they acted. We want to leave you with a careful question that departments, newsrooms, and streaming platforms face. When you're trying to identify hidden victims, which value should lead? Maximum transparency, release photos, reopen files publicly, move fast, or maximum privacy, limit release to protect the living and reduce harm? And how would you build a policy that respects both? Share your reasons, not just your vote. Thank you for watching Twisted Case. If you value survivor-centered reporting, subscribe and join the discussion below.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more gripping true crime breakdowns, mysteries, and criminal psychology stories, only on Twisted Case.